Hello there BookTube, it's Janet, and today I'm going to tell you about the purchases I made while I was having my little hiatus. First one I've got to show you is a book I'm currently reading that I've seen all over YouTube. I've heard nothing but great things, and that is Nevermore, The Trails of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend. Beautiful cover. Poor Morrigan is destined to die on the age of eventide. She lives with an absolutely vile family and she's rescued by the strange and fabulous Jupiter North. He takes her to this fantastically magical hotel and all the characters in it. It's me from the future. I've now since finished Nevermore by Jessica Townsend. I really wanted to love this book, but and I know so many people have loved it. I liked it, I didn't love it. I found that once she got into the hotel with Jupiter North, that I sort of lost interest a little bit in the story. It became a little bit tropey, a little bit predictable, or a little bit too convenient. What I did actually love was the absolute vile family that she came from, and they're the people I wanted to know more about, but she left those. So yeah, I think younger readers will love it, which is perfect because that's the age group that it's aimed at. I'm not going to be in any hurry to read Wondersmith, which I think has just come out, which is a sequel to it. Another one I've just started reading recently, and that is Bookworm by Lucy Mangan, a memoir of childhood reading, where Lucy tells us about fabulous memories of the great books that she read as a child, how much they meant to her, how they shaped her. It's an absolutely beautiful cover as well. So hello, it's Future Me again, and so since making the previous snippet, I have now finished Bookworm by Lucy Mangan. Don't have it with me anymore because I've given it to Eleanor to read. I like this book. I thought there was times where Lucy was going a little bit too deep into the subject matter. It felt almost like a literary critique essay at times, but what I did like was how she really captured that magic of reading as a child and how those books stay with you for the rest of your life. It made me appreciate, actually, there's quite a lot of children's literature out there that I didn't actually read as a child, that I missed out on, and it's made me want to read them as an adult. And it's also made me want to reread the books that I did read as a child to see if I can recapture that magic. So it's well worth a read, especially if you're feeling a little bit nostalgic for a lost youth. I also bought the graphic memoir My Friend Dahmer by Derf Backderf, who was actually a schoolmate of Jeffrey Dahmer. It really does go into detail on how a man like that came to be and how potentially you could see trouble from an early age. I've got a good mixture of both fiction and non-fiction. And non-fiction, the ones that I've got, has just come out, and this is The Genius of Jane Austen by Paula Byrne. I love all things Jane Austen. I've got loads of books about Jane Austen. I've read now all the Jane Austen books. Absolutely love her. This is just another take on Jane Austen and how fantastic her writing and her work was. The next one I've got to show you is historical fiction, and this is The Poison Bed by E.C. Fremantle. Just look how beautiful that cover is. Set in 1615, it follows a married couple. They're both in prison for murder. Robert has rescued Frances from an abusive relationship. She knows that the truth can get you killed. He knows that a lie can save you. Another fabulously beautiful book is Furyborn by Claire Legrand. It's got those deckled edges. I'm not a lover of deckled edges. I know some people do, but I always just think, tidy it up. Murder, mystery, intrigue, revenge in there. Another historical fiction is The King's Witch by Tracy Borman. This follows the life of Frances Gorges, who has nursed the Queen on her deathbed, and she's quite adept at using herbs and natural remedies to help heal people or, you know, relieve ailments. Unfortunately, the Queen's husband was King James I. She's quite happy to carry on with that, but King James I, being a Puritan and the absolute slayer of witches, it might mean that she's in a little bit of unsteady ground there. The next book I've got, which I absolutely had to have, is the Little People Big Dreams series by Isabel Sanchez Vergara, and this is the Ella Fitzgerald edition. Ella Fitzgerald is my absolute all-time favourite artist. I absolutely love her music. I never get tired of it. I listen to it constantly. It's designed for younger readers, but I absolutely love that Ella Fitzgerald was chosen to be represented in this series because she had a very troubled background. She was homeless, and basically she danced and sang to get by in life, and obviously the fantastic voice was recognised, and she went on to be the absolute definitive First Lady of Jazz. And just the art in these books is absolutely beautiful. I I just had to have it because she's my hero. Another historical fiction novel, which is based on a real person, is currently upstairs on my bedside table, is The Shadow Queen by Anne O'Brien, and this follows the life of the mother of Richard II, and it's going on through how she actually was married 3 times. She married in secret at the age of 12, and then because she was quite highborn in the royal family, I think she's actually the king's cousin, they decided that she was a marriageable prospect, married her to the Earl of Salisbury, despite her actually then saying that I'm already married and the guy I've married is out on the crusades. They basically decided that he must be dead, just crack on with it. He turns up, that's where I'm up to so far in the story. So it's future me again. I got this far into it and it's a DNF. I loved the idea of learning more about this historical figure, but I just found it very slow, very ploddy. I like that there is detail, but I thought there was just a little bit too much detail, a little bit too much of the plotting and intrigue that's going on behind the scenes. I was desperate for it to move on. It's quite a thick book and I just didn't have the time to plough through it, so it wasn't for me in the end. Another book that I bought was 13 by Steve Kavanagh. This is a thriller and I bloody read this with Eleanor. The premise of it is, what if the serial killer is not in the dock, he's on the jury. It's all about how this quite clever serial killer has manipulated events and people to suit his own ends. I finished 13 by Steve Kavanagh. It was okay, but I think it was a very clever book. I think what let it down in the end for me was that there was a big flaw in the story where I just could not buy into it. I found just, obviously I'm not going to give anything away, but when you get to the end, the big reveal of it, it sort of let me down a little bit because I just could not get on board with it. It just seemed quite implausible what he was talking about. So I will see you all soon, BookTube. Keep reading. Bye!